everyone. My name is Jenny and I'm an astrologer and an energy healer. I work with the vibration of Archangel Metatron. Oh my goodness. So Mercury retrograde has ended, but there's sort of a good news, not bad news, but there's something else. There's a caveat that goes along with that. So all of the planets have nodes. Just like the nodes that we call the nodes of fate, the nodes of the moon, which is like the energetic point of where the energy of the sun and the moon are meeting. That's like where they're coming together, the culmination of their energy, the point where those vibrations meet. And each of the planets has a south node and a north node as well. And Mercury came to station, getting ready to move forward on Neptune's south node. So, Neptune can be like confusion, murky, like waterlogged. Matthew Curry has a funny meme that he puts up when Mercury is retrograde in water. Go home, Mercury, you're drunk. And so he's a little drunk. He's a little drunk. He's sitting on the south node of Neptune. So I don't know about you guys, but because at first I was like, what the heck? Mercury retrograde is over. Why are all of these things happening? I think it's been more since after the retrograde in the last just couple days for me. So anyway, just to let everybody know that will only go on for a couple days, couple more days. So I'm making this video on 222, February 22nd. I have to tell you guys that Mercury retrograded all over me during the last video that I made. It was funny because Mary Magdalene and I pulled cards together days before I made the video, and I said to one of my friends, now I know why she did that with me on Tuesday rather than the Friday that I was recording. And I left a lot of things out of the video. I didn't finish explaining things. I don't think it was that noticeable unless, I knew that there was more to say. But it was just that the most important thing was that the reason that I made it that day is because the south node of the moon and the asteroid Juno and the asteroid Union, the word union, were all, and Juno relates to partners, any kind of partner. But they were all together meeting at the great attractor at the center of Sagittarius. And that's why I did the video on that Friday, because it was a good time to call in, your the one that you want. Let's just say that. The one that you'd like to be with. So yeah. But thank you everybody for your feedback with that video. I appreciate it. I did throw a lot more things into it than how I do that. And people, I have to tell you guys, all of you who've emailed or asked in the comments, which video did you talk about this or this? I have no idea because I'm channeling. And, sometimes I finish watching the video and I'm like, oh, I didn't even remember saying that. So really you have to go back and look, because even when I have to write, for you guys in the description box what it is in the video, I do that when I watch it again. Then I write down things, because Metatron is really doing more with trust, and then, just going with what he's giving me while I'm recording. But we always go over the material beforehand, and because with astrology you really can focus on a lot of different things with the moon events, but he goes over what would be best for you guys to hear about with me beforehand. So hope everybody is doing well. If any of you happen to be in Texas, I know that I have a lot of viewers in Texas. I don't know if any of you were affected or lost power during those snowstorms. I'm just have been and am sending you guys so much love and support, and just trusting that the people in charge are going to get everything back to the way it's supposed to be, and that you won't have utility bills in the tens of thousands of dollars. But, it's funny because we've got that South Node in Sagittarius, so we're hearing a lot of malarkey. It's the word that Metatron is using. And immediately, some of the politicians were saying that this is what happens with wind energy. Texas gets more than 80% of their energy comes from fossil fuels and non-renewable energy. The new Green Deal hasn't gone into effect yet, so it's nothing to do with that. But yeah, just be careful because this South Node Sagittarius, people are getting away with a lot of malarkey. So yeah, just sending so much love to all of you guys. I can't imagine what a nightmare. And I hope that everybody's back to normal soon. I thought like let's celebrate springtime a little bit. We just came out of 17 days of being below zero. We've had between the 1st and 16th of February, we had 30 inches of snow where I live. And today we made it above the freezing mark. We got one last snow in last night, and then today we were above freezing, and we're going to stay there for a while. So I'm really excited because I need to go to the woods. I need to be in the woods. And I could go right now, but it's really like walking on a skating rink. So it's kind of like shuffling through the woods. Yeah, shuffling over ice water. So we're going to talk today about the full moon that we have coming in Virgo. And that happens on the 27th for everybody. It will be for Central Standard Time. It will happen at 2:17 a.m. And UK, that will be 8:17 a.m. And then for Sydney, it'll be 7:17 p.m. And so we have an 8 because we always look at the minutes with the moon. So we have an 8. And so, that's infinity. And I think it was with the last moon, the new moon in Aquarius, that the Sabian symbol had to do with this is when the soul comes in and there's a decision made, and it could be a lot of things that are going on for each of us individually right now. It could be that we don't have a whole lot of say. We never have a say with timing, but actually the Sabian symbol that rules this full moon does have to do with creating your own reality and how you can move through the evolutionary process faster, at least with more ease and grace. So Metatron wanted me to remind everyone about the virtues of Virgo. Virgo gets a bad rap, but the higher vibration of Virgo. Well, I guess we'll talk about the lower first. So the lower vibration of Virgo, and everyone has a 6th house. Everyone has the sign of Virgo in their chart, and everyone has the planet Mercury. And Virgo can be where we can. He's saying, rather than being the optimist, we can be like the perfectionist. If we don't have everything done exactly just right, then we're going to fail. That is a subconscious story that everybody is carrying. And that was one of the things that we did healing for in the class that I taught on the Virgo Pisces axis, was releasing like all of the humanity-wide stories that we're all carrying that are shown by the signs in the zodiac and the planets and other ways outside of astrology. But, the myth of perfection, it is a myth. You are already, and I don't want this to come across in a way that sounds like they don't give us any credit or don't appreciate that we are mature spiritual beings, is the way that he's saying it. But they really do, the higher vibrations and the creator look on us, and our souls as well. They look on us as if we are young children in school, and all they have for us is compassion and mercy and grace. And grace has a lot to do with the sign of Virgo. If it's the lower vibration of Virgo, then it's guilt. And if it's the higher vibration of Virgo, it's grace. It's when we have grace for ourselves and we have grace for those who have offended us, done something to us. Uh, you know, Forgiveness, that Virgo Pisces axis, forgiveness and moving forward. And we can't move forward without that component of forgiveness and releasing anger toward others. Virgo has to do a lot to do with responsibilities. It also has to do with the daily rituals, the practice, what we do to keep our bodies clean and functioning well to the best of their abilities. Virgo is about reaping the rich rewards of the harvest for the investments that we've made in what we love in Taurus. Then we come to the next earth sign, Virgo, and we reap the benefits or the reward. We tend our crops. We take care of the day to day. It's like the enlightened. What is that quote about? You still have to carry wood and fetch water, even after enlightenment, Virgo. And the hermit, being in that place of, quietude is what he's saying within the self, that's the reaction to everything because we're in that hermit mode. Where we just are in that quiet place of stillness and contemplation. And when things come flying at us, we don't need to react right away because we're, oh, really? Tell me more. Because we do have some of that coming up, by the way, some bumpy stuff coming up. And could have to do with loud, messaging and silliness like that too. So this, you could look back and at about 2.5 years ago and see like what was going on for you at the time. And that would be about how long that it comes to culmination then with this full moon in Virgo. And, wherever that falls in your chart is where you are responsible or what you are responsible for and where you reap the rewards. Now, is whatever shows up in Virgo, a lot of us can carry patterns, he's saying, or beliefs that cause us to think that we're responsible for things outside of our control. And so then that's one of the healings that we do in the natal chart readings that I do is really a lot of it because I'm dealing with your subconscious and what patterns and programs are in the subconscious. That's all shown in the natal chart. And a lot of it is releasing burden and Virgo, that lower Virgo. Or, where in order to serve others, we need to martyr ourselves in some way, give more, not receive financial reward, not being compensated for the work that we do, making some kind of sacrifice. That's an old, outdated ego story. We want to be in harmonious flow of giving and receiving, not like, oh no, I don't need anything, thank you. When you keep turning that down over and over, the universe is getting the message like they don't want anything. Nothing for them, thanks. They don't want anything. Say yes when someone offers you something. I mean, unless it's something that you don't want. Like when we were doing a little experiment, my friends and I, about saying yes, and someone had a bag of potato chips, and we were on like a 2.5-hour car ride, and eventually we were just like, no, thank you, I'm good with the potato chips. So yeah, depending on, like he's saying, focusing on what you want more of and what you could do without, and when he's bringing up what we could do without, he's linking that to, Virgo and habits. The moon also linked with our habits. And this is a full moon in Virgo. And looking at the chart, this is a perfect time if you're looking to release an addiction or a pattern of self-care or overindulging is what he's saying, that this would be a time to make the course correction then. and to, release that pattern, put something else in its place. We don't want to ever, be like no sugar whatsoever, ever, ever, if that's what we're giving up, because then we just feel deprived and denied. We want to, just keep it in a harmonious flow and balance, right? Mercury. And so let's take a look at the chart. And this is happening at 8 degrees and 57 minutes of Virgo, which is 3 minutes shy of 9 degrees. So you could say 9 Virgo. So whatever you have, let's say from, well, now he's showing me 3 to like 16, that will be affected by this full moon. So you can see that we have the yod there with those 2 green lines. Each Saturn and Chiron right now are in what's called a sextile, which is a choice energy. So with Chiron, having to do with healing, and Chiron is also the I am presence within. So it's really changing. What do you say? I am a victor is a good way to heal, the victimhood. I am undefeated. That's a great thing to be saying with this full moon. So because the way that Saturn and Chiron are aspecting this full moon, and the sun is in Pisces, like 1 degree from Admetos, which has to do with the deep, like the depths of regret. And so just looking at this chart, most likely we could be feeling emotional, depending on how sensitive you are, a need to release something for healing. Probably when this video goes up on the 23rd, that a lot of people will be already feeling this energy. So when Saturn and Chiron are there with the moon, that is about, investing in yourself, new ways to show love to yourself, to appreciate yourself, and to release remorse and regret of the past. And I touched on this. We're going to talk about this chart some more, but I touched on this in the video, actually, when I talked about where I needed to forgive someone who had done really terrible things to me. I mean, if I told you guys, it was this big deal. It's a really big deal what they did to me. But I, released it and let it go, and then had just an amazing supernatural experience of having something, what was about to go down in my life drawn on the wall by Metatron. And at the end, all of the characters that he had drawn and all of the scenery all came together and made a phoenix, and the phoenix flew off the wall. Resentment and holding on to remorse, like regret of what we've done in the past, is the biggest block to our connection to the soul. And what I mean by that is that story is blocking us from the truth that we are intrinsically connected. You never are disconnected, but it can feel as if you are disconnected. And that is because there has not been forgiveness. When we hang on to anger, it festers, and it breeds regret, is what Metatron is saying. It breeds regret. And then those regrets grow their own personality. And we call them possessionals, or, scary stuff, that I remove from people all the time, as a matter of course, in every healing, because that is part of it. And it really is, when we're feeling angry towards someone and we're unable to forgive the person, it's because we had done that in the past and we regret it. And we don't believe that we deserve forgiveness. But there is no such thing as righteous anger. That's what caused the Crusades and all of the people who were murdered in the name of religion, including 9 million women globally between 1400 and 1800, were killed for being witches. That those people that killed them had righteous anger. There is no such thing as righteous anger. It's like Buddha said, anger is the what we do, how we punish ourselves for someone else's mistake. Anger never serves us. And if our Mars is wacky, then we can believe that it does. We can even think that it's a motivation for us. I was just sharing with someone recently that one of the, she is learning how to go guide people into past lives in the subconscious like I do. And I was sharing with her that one of the past lives that I went into, I was a single cell organism. And when you were, because we've all been one, when you were a single cell organism, the drive to live is unbelievable. I mean, it's unparalleled. And there is nothing else that matters. It doesn't matter who you have to take out to survive. When you were that single cell organism, the drive to survive was all it was about. And that's where that primal instinct comes from. That's where anger, that root of, survival of the fittest, and how dare you do that to me. And when we have that, when we blame someone else for what was done to us, we're just taking all of our power. Just imagine, taking our a slice of the solar plexus and being like, here you go. Because we're giving away all of our power to that person that did this to us. And we're left in victimhood. And that is the lower Pisces Virgo axis, when we're consumed with anger and victimhood. And how could they have done this? When you come to the place and you're strong enough to be in the place where you recognize that you chose on some level, that you chose the experiences that you're having, that they were meant to give you valuable lessons. Like what I found out with the person that I was talking about in the last video, who had done these terrible things to me and my family. What the gift that they gave me was what I'm doing right now. Because I could have very easily stayed where I was, collected the checks, and had a decent life. But because of what they did to me, which was terrible, because they did that to me, it pushed me right out of the comfort zone, and eventually here, doing what I'm doing. It was a gift that she gave me. Now, if you had said that, I probably would have hurt you, honestly. And I'm not, I don't want you to think that I don't have compassion, because I'm not at all saying that, you need to, of course, have compassion for yourself and be in that space with yourself. But then we let it go. We grieve that part of us, and then we allow it to go. We do that for ourselves, to heal ourselves. They're members of our soul family. The people sometimes that hurt us the most are actually the closest and dearest relations in our soul family, are the most like us too. And a lot of times when you go, people tell me like, oh, this person did this to me in a past life this many times. Somebody said, look at how many times you did it. You can't, that's duality. And when we, have lifetimes where we are the shadow and the light, lifetimes are equal. Sometimes we're the bad guy, sometimes we're the good guy. Either way, the Creator loves us the same. No judgment, and Virgo is where we can just be so harsh with ourselves, be holding ourselves to some sort of punishment or sentence, believing that we deserve to have that pain. But that's the lower, like Saturn, Chiron, reaching out to this moon. But if you are thinking in the higher vibration, if we're going from there, Then we're looking at stability and habits of that form habits and relationships that bring stability, and coming to the quietude within, withdrawing, he's saying. And he's actually showing me, like, for 3 days, that it may be a good idea for some of us to, he's saying, shut out the noise. Shut out the noise machines, he's saying, and just be in the quiet. And how much we need that quiet, just to not have any input, any sound. And of course, Pisces, the season of Pisces, we've got now Neptune, the sun, and Venus all in Pisces. Venus is exalted there. So this is always a good time of year to really listen to music and dance around as much as you can, and really allow the music to carry you away. He's talking about listening to tunes, and he's using the word tunes. Tunes that we remember from times when we were, the crazy, wild and crazy teenager. When we could just let loose and have fun, and getting back to that childlike innocence of fun, and do whatever you can do to lighten the load, for yourself, to take some things off your plate. If you can delegate things to other people, just try to be in that space of quiet. That for those 2-3 days. So let's say, a couple days leading up to when it's the dark of the moon. And just, I would ask, and I'm going to, because it's amazing to me how many things we believe we move past, and then it'll start coming to our mind again, and you're like, really? Is that still there? Just being asked to be shown in some way, or reminded, gentle reminders, he's saying, of, patterns and habits of being hard on yourself, or where the voice of the inner critic, he's saying, being conscious of that inner critic. And a good way to shut that down is, I always just say, like, I love you, Jennifer, when I realize that inner critic's been going and I wasn't catching it. So, recognizing the inner critic and letting that go, setting new patterns and habits that are healthy, just maybe adding one thing to your daily routine that is uplifting. But the dark of the moon will begin just after this video goes up. And so that's a good time to, be letting things go. He's showing somebody crumpling up a package of cigarettes, that kind of thing. And not beating yourself up. The religious thing, you are a fractal of the universe, a spark of creation, having a human experience, regardless of what the DNA talking to you through the subconscious has to say. You really are. You are a spark of perfection, is what he's saying. And he's talking about he's saying how limiting it can be for the DNA, but how freeing it is when the realization that you are a spark of the divine finally comes in and you realize it. And the way that we demonstrate that to ourselves is self-care and what we're doing with our habits. So this moon is in a harmonious trine with Uranus. So that's why, it's about, releasing something, letting it go. Go to the wind is what he's showing me. Like, just letting it, let's say it is cigarettes, just seeing the tobacco leaves go to the wind. If you're not ready yet, just say, like, okay, I'm ready to, start releasing this habit. A good thing to do if you do want to break a habit, like with sugar, anything, liquor, weed, and, cigarettes, anything like that, sugar, bless it. And the way to bless it is to really, truly feel grateful for it. Feel gratitude for it. When you do that, the vibration of it rises so high, but also it will become less and less appealing when we bless what it is that isn't good for us, or we're grateful to have it, And, we're grateful for the comfort it brings us, even if we know that that isn't the way to get comfort. Because, we don't live in judgment. So even if we bless it and, we recognize like it might be better to eat something else, if we just sit there and guilt ourselves, it actually adds weight to whatever it is. So, but by having gratitude, which has a lot to do with Virgo Pisces as well, and being cognizant of our blessings and all that we have to be grateful for, and that thing, that cigarette, it will just become less appealing with time. But we're never under any pressure. So I don't want anyone to feel pressured or, about habits or anything like that. That it just comes when it comes. And to just, he's saying this is a reminder to be gentle with ourselves. And guilt and shame have no place. They really don't serve a purpose. That's just, I don't know, that old religious kind of story where we should feel guilty or feel remorseful about what we did and drag it around with us. I want to just show you guys how Mars and Pluto are in a trine, and Mars is down with the fixed star Algol. Algol has a lot to do with the regret of coming from a state of heightened emotions, making an emotional decision. And there's Sedna, and that has to do with the pain of the patriarchy. Algol, I think, has something to do with patriarchy as well. But they're in that harmonious trine. And, those are the rulers of Scorpio. And so, and Aries, obviously, with Mars, too. But because they're, having a harmonious link of communication, this would be really, letting something, releasing control, and forgiving for when we had control over something and we let somebody else take it away, and abuse of power, forgiving scenarios of abuse of power, letting all of that go too. And also any kind of sense of feeling unworthy. And really, you want to make positive statements. Like, instead, you could just be like, I recognize how worthy I am. I believe I am as worthy as the Creator believes that I am. Mercury, who is ruling this full moon. I'm going to get back to Ed Meadows. Well, maybe I should do Ed Meadows first. Okay. So, Ed Meadows, the mythology of it, maybe I'll link an article. I'm going to link the article in the description box for you guys about Ed Meadows, because I came across a really good article. I don't want to say the name of the astrologer because she sadly gone to Q a nonsense, and I don't want to say her name, but I will put the article in the description box. I don't know her name either, but that, I want to, give her credit. But the article, I think you guys could learn from. It will be in the description box. But he was dying, and the only way that he would be able to be saved is if somebody died in his place. And it ended up somehow, and I don't remember all the details of the story, but it somehow ended up being his wife. And so then he had to live without her and was devastated. And she did come back to him. But when she came back, he didn't even recognize her because he was so caught up in the regret of the past. And so Ed Meadows has a lot to do with the regret of the past and the relief, he's saying, and the feeling of sanctuary, he's saying, that comes when we release the regret of the past. Part of forgiving the person who has wronged us is forgiving ourselves for having taken on that lesson. That's actually harder because it's hard sometimes for us to fathom that we would bring ourselves so much pain. And then we look at, why would I do that? Maybe it was done to someone else by me. And so forgive the whole thing. Forgive when you did it. Forgive when it was done to you. One exercise that I learned from one of the modalities that I was taught was to imagine yourself standing in front of the person and saying to them, I forgive you. If the person turns and walks away, then they aren't going to, be reciprocating. And if they like smile at you, then you know that they do. But either way, you're finished. Your part of it is finished. It's such a huge thing to anger and resentment, such a huge, huge block. It's the biggest block that there is to our psychic and intuitive gifts and that feeling of being connected. So let's go over then the Sabian symbol or actually I have the Chandra and the Omega symbols, and one of these, the print is so tiny, I'm going to have to get my glasses on. Okay, so the Chandra symbol is a train entering a tunnel. The ability to shortcut the process of natural evolution by the exercise of will, mental skill, and physical discipline, Virgo. People must be inspired by a vision of what is possible for him to achieve. He has to organize a schedule of necessary activities if the work is to be done in terms of successive moves, each requiring a specialized type of skill and strength. He needs to find a propitious time for beginning the work. In other words, divine timing. The end result is an acceleration of the evolutionary process, whether at the psychobiological level with yoga or other disciplines, or at the social level in its external aspect where civilization proceeds. This stage presents a picture of what can be achieved by a combination of social and cultural and personal techniques. It implies the possibility of shortening the length of time needed for progress by cutting through obstacles and delay. The key word is penetration. Mars, Pluto, penetration. So there's something about piercing through the obstacles. And I think that we, whenever there's resistance, it's us. It's something in us that's being resistant. So something about pushing ourselves a little bit, pushing a little bit. And then, of course, prioritizing. Pallas Athena is still in Aquarius, but, and Mars also. Mars has to do with strategy and prioritizing and how you're going to get this and this and this done, being the emperor. So I should have said that Mercury is at Aquarius, the 14th degree of Aquarius, ruling this full moon. So the Omega symbol is in a pyramid, a dark passageway filled with scorpions. Coming to a point in the journey where everything you fear, all that you wish to avoid, inevitably happens. Your mind's blind spots call up remedial action. Karmic lessons take over. A probationary path of self-testings and self-torments. Never letting yourself off easy. Remember, we talked about the lower manifestation of Virgo. Determined almost blindly to expose yourself to the worst, you are particularly drawn to work out collective blind spots and missing pieces, even willing to take them on, to play them through, preferring to be the villain or the gadfly or the devil's advocate to letting well enough alone. You feel irresistibly compelled in both self and world to draw everything up to the surface, to bring it all out, to make it visible and tangible. You have the excessive and redemptive eye for the dark side that must be cleared for free passage to become possible ever again. And Scorpion, the lower Mars, Pluto, Scorpio energy is vengeance. And what we're going to do to get back at that person. Anytime, recently when the hate radio star died, and I saw just so many, karma's a bitch. everybody that, when people say that, it's going right into their space. So recognizing that, forgiving yourself for having that much anger and regret and, feelings of being victimized and blame, forgiving yourself that, recognizing that those are the swords that we're putting in our own space when we do that. I have someone that I have to deal with who is always sharing my stuff on YouTube as if it's their own. And I would be happy about that, except that they don't understand, because they haven't done the work. And so they're kind of just giving out a bunch of misinformation. And I used to get really worked up about it. And, Metatron said, stop watching them. They have things constantly missing and taken. And they still don't realize why. And I could be really angry and I would be justified in that in the 3D, right? But I just let it go. I mean, that's the thing. No matter what people say to us, we choose to feel fear. We choose to feel offended. We don't have to feel anyway because someone else says something. Nobody else is allowed to manipulate. That's also the lower Scorpio, us, Mars and Pluto. So let's just go through then the astrology outside of the full moon. On the 25th, the sun is going to sextile, so a 60-degree choice. Think of the Lover's card, Uranus. And from Pisces, it will sextile Uranus and Taurus. And that same day, Venus will enter Pisces on the 25th. That will bring in something of a choice with money or, some kind of support structure. A relationship, could be a job. It could even be living accommodations, depending on where that happens in your chart. But the 3rd then of March, so how many days? Okay, I'm not going to try to do that. Like 6 days, like within that week, about a week. Venus then will move up to where the sun was on the 25th, and Venus will sextile Uranus again. Chiron is in the middle of those. So make the choice that's best for you, for your personal happiness, he's saying, your own personal happiness. Allow that, he's saying, to be the standard. Allow that to be the standard. That isn't selfish. If you look to your needs, it isn't selfish. The 4th of March, Mars enters Gemini, and Mercury, who rules Gemini, meets up with Jupiter. Be careful exercising if you're just starting an exercise. Probably not the 4th. That would be something that you want to ease into because of what's going on with the energy anyway. But there does need to be some kind of motion. So it's a great day for dancing. If you turn on the music for 20 minutes and dance around, that's a good workout, and you can't help but feel happy. On the 11th of March, then, the sun will meet Neptune. This was a year ago when the sun met Neptune. That's when pandemic, which is nonsense, went viral. Because people can get real fuzzy and real caught up in, loosey-goosey or conspiracy theory thinking. So just to be mindful. That might be a great, like if you want to spend time in meditation on the 11th or do something a little special, if you could give yourself more time. Great day to get insights, to gain insights and get messages, feeling connected. And yeah, he also wanted me just to mention that there's a disruption in the rhythm and flow of our lives when something comes up that needs the balm, he's saying, of forgiveness. So, letting that go so that we can be in that harmonious rhythm and flow. So I had a different song picked out. But yeah, he chose this one instead. This one's better. Of course. I thought he was going for the other song. And so I printed it out. And then this one came up. I was like, oh, I guess you mean this one. So this is from the Doobie Brothers. Listen to the music. Don't you feel it growing day by day? People getting ready for the news. Some are happy, some are sad. Oh, we got to let the music play. What the people need is a way to make them smile. It ain't so hard to do if you know how. Gotta get a message, get it on through. Oh, now mama's going to after a while. Oh, 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 oh. Listen to the music. So, um, it's about dancing the blues away, listening to music, and the whole world joining in with your song and really serving others' needs and taking care of our responsibilities in a place of joy. We've had a more than one catastrophe here in these past few weeks. I'm gonna have to clean it up either way. So it's just better to do it with a smile on my face. Not that I did every time, but it makes a huge difference, if we're facing our responsibilities, our chores, our tasks with the oh, instead of like, okay, gonna get this done. It's like I'm seeing Snow White, whistle while you work and doing it in that attitude because it's really for our benefit, just like forgiving the person who wronged us is beneficial for us too. So, anyway, everybody, I hope that you found this helpful. And if you'd like to book a session with me, that link is in the description box. And you can always send an email. And I appreciate everybody commenting and liking and sharing. You may want to check the notification bell because I noticed that less than 30% of people get notifications. That's actually why I haven't been doing a lot of write-ups on the community page because not that many people see it, but I did one this past week. If you don't have the notification bell, you won't get those when I do a write-up. But I'm going to be also involved in an astrology. Oh, I don't know what she's calling it. I guess it's a symposium. But that will be I'll get that information out to all of you. If you've ever had a session with me or you've sent me an email, you're on my mailing list. But that will go out in a mailing list, and then I'll talk about it on YouTube too when it gets closer. I'm going to be talking about being able to connect with the higher vibrations, how that shows up in the chart, and how to remedy any disruption in that connection. But there will be 20 other astrologers, some of them very well known, will be a part of that as well. So I will get that information to you guys as soon as she hasn't given me anything to share about it yet, but I will get that to you as soon as I have it. Okay, guys, sending you so much love. Happy full moon in Virgo. Happy ritualing and doing all your little, witchy, white witch little magic stuff that you'll be doing with your crystals. Great day to get those charged up. So anyway, everybody, sending you so much love. Bye-bye.